What's up, guys? Today we're going to be checking out the Xgimi Halo 1080p portable projector. Now this is a DLP projector. It's only 1080p, but it will accept 4K resolution. So we're going to be checking that out today. And we'll get this hooked up in the theater to see what kind of picture quality we can get from it. First, let's get the thing unboxed. So on the box, it says it will project up to 300 inches. I'll be projecting 100 inches today. This is also got Google Assistant built in. So here we have the projector. We get a couple accessory boxes. This is the power cord. You will need to get a US version if you are in the US, because this is for overseas. And then we also get the remote control right there. In the other box, we have the power brick. So here's the documentation. We got some warranty info, some FAQs, and the manual. So the projector itself, it's a little guy. The measurements, I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll put them here on top of the screen here. But up front here, we do get the lens. There is an autofocus little sensor right there. It looks to be perforated all around with Harman Kardon speakers. So audio is handled by Harman Kardon. So that's pretty cool. Up top, we get the volume down, volume up, and in the middle, we get the play pause button. And around back, we have the power button, USB, HDMI out, 3.5mm out, and then we have the AC power input. And on the bottom, there is a threaded insert. So if you want to put this on a tripod, and there is a little mini kickstand there, so you can angle it upwards if it's on a flat surface. So let's go ahead and get this thing hooked up and we'll check out some of the features and the picture quality. I've got the projector set up in my theater using an ultra-wide screen, so you will see black bars on the sides since the screen is wider than your normal 16:9 screen. It's also an all-white screen, so you will have to turn the lights off for the best picture. Now let's take a quick peek at the projector's settings. Oh, if you couldn't tell, this does run on Android TV. Under projector settings, we get a few different brightness options. Here's energy savings, which will dim the projector to an unusable brightness, but it will save on battery power, office, and video. Under customize, you can adjust the RGB levels in increments of 10. At the bottom here, you can also rename the selection. Under keystone correction, if you put it inside projection mode, you can manually adjust the keystone yourself. You do get a 4-point correction, which are the 4 corners. Now of course, you'd only want to use keystone correction in a worst case scenario. If you watch when I move the corner inwards, you'll see that you're digitally moving the image inwards, but you're also wasting unused pixels, which is the gray area right here. So if you want to get the full 1080p resolution, you don't want to use this feature. The same goes for digital zooming in and out. If you zoom all the way in, you're going to end up with something like a 480p image on the screen, so you don't want to use this unless you're really tight for space. Under projection placement, you can have this as front, rear, or mounted on your ceiling. For autofocus and dynamic focal length, you have either open or close. If you keep these open, the projector will automatically focus. If it's on close, you'll have to focus manually. If you want to do it manually, you'll have to look at the bottom of the remote control and turn the switch to focus. Once you do that, you'll get the Xgimi logo on the screen. By using the volume controls, you can now dial it in manually. Just remember to switch back to volume when you're done. Here you have the HDMI CEC setting. And lastly, if you tap this, it will calibrate the gyroscope, which is used for automatic keystone correction. As I mentioned earlier, this does run Android TV and it's really snappy, so navigating the home screen was a breeze. Since this is in the home theater, I'm going to go ahead and check out a few apps that I use on a daily basis. First being Netflix. Once you open it, you'll be greeted with an error message. I guess the projector isn't Netflix certified, so you're going to have to use it with something like a Roku or an Apple TV if you're a Netflix user. Next app I tried was Voodoo. As you can see here, I did purchase this movie in 4K, but it'll only play back in standard definition, which is 480p, so you don't have the option to play back in HDX, which is high definition, or in 4K. It's kinda strange, but again, you can always just use a Roku or other streaming device. Next is the YouTube app. If we go into the quality settings, you'll see that this does give you the option to play back in 4K resolution. Jumping into Disney Plus, this app will let you play back in HD and 5.1 if you're outputting using the optical output into a soundbar or an audio system. I should mention that if you want to adjust your picture settings while watching a movie, all you have to do is tap the settings button on the remote, and you can get to the image settings from here. I do like to keep the sharpness setting on low, because if it's up too high, you'll start to see ringing, and it just looks terrible. So I'd say keep it at 0 or as low as you can, but you can always do whatever you like. I also found that the warm setting was the most pleasing setting for temperature. Now, I did end up hooking up a Roku to the HDMI in, and it will play back 4K material from an external device. It won't do HDR, but it does do 4K just fine. The overall image was bright and punchy, and it handles colors and gradients without any issues. At a normal viewing distance, it does have a very sharp detailed picture for a 1080p projector. Now, of course, this isn't perfect. I did notice one issue which may bother some folks. If you're watching up close to the screen, there does seem to be a layer of noise over the entire image. It's harder to see if something bright is on screen, but you will notice it in darker material. Again, if you're at a good distance away from the screen, then you might not notice it, but it's something you might want to be aware of. As for gaming, I thought it was perfectly fine and responsive, though if you're more of a hardcore gamer, you might want to stick to a monitor. Let's not forget one very important thing. How quiet is this projector? It's really quiet, and this is without any sound. If the sound is on, then you won't hear a thing. And speaking of sound, it does get pretty loud.
Carter with a screen on Rozier. There's Levine, and Levine throws it down.
One more thing to mention, the projector does have a built-in battery. It's rated at 4 hours depending on your usage. I think the rating is based on the energy savings mode. When I used it on full brightness, I got about an hour and 29 minutes before it shut off. This was while I was streaming The Mandalorian using the Disney Plus app. At the time of this video, the Xgimi Halo is selling for $800. I do think this throws out a very pleasingly sharp 1080p image. It's bright and produces some great color. It runs on Android, so there are a ton of Android apps you can download, and you can use the Google Assistant. It's super portable since it has a battery, and it's the quietest mini projector I've used so far. If you're shopping for a big screen experience with 30,000 hours of lamp life and super easy setup, the Halo projector might be something you'd want to consider. Now, if you do want to pick the Xgimi Halo projector up or to check for the best price, I will leave a link for it down below in the video's description. As always guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys again in the next video.